Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another MIDF conversation, where we host a lunchtime conversation between MIDF and captains of industry and thought leaders. This is a keto lunch for the intellect. No carbs, no starch, just the good stuff. Pure protein and some greens as food for thought. I would like to welcome all our participants today, the entrepreneurs, CEOs, fund managers, and finance and business professionals, the individual investors investing their own hard-earned money, members of the media, students, especially those studying math or economics, colleagues, and everyone. I'm delighted that we have with us today Senior Assistant Commissioner Nik Ezanee Mohd Faisal, the officer in charge of criminal investigations for Selangor. So Nik, welcome, and thank you for joining the conversation.
Hi, Dato.
How are you?
Still alive.
Very good. Actually, for most of us, it's a joke. For you, it's you have a well. Thank you so much for joining us. So, Nik, I mean, we have a lot of business people here, and they're not very familiar with the police. And when they do come into contact with the police, they get very frightened because normally they've done something wrong. But anyway, so we'd love to know more about how the police work and what goes on in the country. But can we just start with a little bit about yourself, Nik? I mean, how did you get to where you are today, and what is your job today? What's it about? What do you do?
Oh, okay. A little background about myself. I'm 43 years old, born and raised in Kuala Lumpur, and of course, both parents are Cantonese, so hence the Nik. Spent some time in the States. I studied abroad, got my bachelor degrees in international business, minoring in psychology, and did my MBA there short after. I did some computer software back in the days, Bill Clinton. It was good until George Bush won. So I have to move out. Went to Vietnam instead, and was exporting garden furniture for a couple of years, and came back and I joined the police force. And so I spent some time in the narcotics department, 10 years, and I was at the IGP Secretariat for 4 years before I was posted to Petaling Jaya. And now I'm the officer in charge of criminal investigation, Selangor.
Wow, you have a varied background.
I don't know.
The real world. You know the real world, Nik. A lot of us know things from reading. You know things for real. I mean, this is real stuff. Looking after narcotics and everything else. So, as the officer in charge of criminal investigation for Selangor, I mean, it sounds like a very big, a huge responsibility. What exactly do you have to do?
Well, I monitor all the criminal activities, of course, investigations, intelligence procurement, and also operations. And I advise the CPO of Selangor on the current trends, and I serve to chair some of the meetings in coordinating efforts to curb crime in the whole state. See, Selangor it's heavy. If you say Selangor, just imagine Johor, Kuala Lumpur, and Penang all combined together, and you get Selangor. So wow. That's how heavy it is.
Yeah. I mean, it's the biggest state in the country, right? The most people. So by definition, the most number of crimes. I mean,
yes.
It's just the size. It's a huge responsibility.
Yeah.
That's a huge responsibility. Okay, well, thank you. I think we'll get back to what you have to do, but I have a few questions and to get the conversation going. But I'm sure we'll have lots of questions later on the Q&A. I already see one has come in. There'll be more to come. So, you are the ultimate frontline. It's like the police. I mean, you day to day, you interact with the people on the street. You see everyone, and with the MCO, when people were locked up and well, we couldn't go out and they couldn't go to work, and some people had problems with their jobs and all that. What did you see? What was the true effect of the MCO on the people? Yeah.
Well, everybody's affected since last year, March. There's a lot of confusion psychologically, economically. Everybody's affected, including us as frontliners. Everything is new, and for us, it's like trying an error. And I understand there's a lot of frustrations, but come to think about it, we are on the road of recovery, and we survived that. And what we went through was tough. And yeah.
I mean, you did some amazing things. You're on record. Somebody lost a phone, and you donated a mobile phone to a teenager, and then somebody who had to steal food, you brought food to their home. Did the MCO drive people to crime? Do you think people?
Well, not everybody, but to some, they do not have any other avenues, so they resort to crime, just like the mother. But people just don't wake up in the morning and say, "Hey, today I'm gonna shoot someone." In general, they don't. But there are cases where they are so desperate, they don't know what else to do. And just last week, there was a case in Selangor where this guy, he doesn't know what else to do, and he went and robbed a convenience store, and we got it. But it's minor compared to what the real crime is. People that actually has prior records and all that. These are the real criminals that we're focusing on. When we speak about what I did in PJ, addressing these criminals, there was a debate saying that if you do that, then everybody would go to a store and start picking up stuff. Well, to me, I do not really want to get into that debate, but sometimes I have to explain why did I do that. I have at that time I have some power not to continue an investigation, just a little bit. I studied the case. The lady was desperate, and she stole items that she really needs, food and some medication for the children. So the store actually got their items back, and in the end, I set the lady free. So what happens then? The thing, for whatever reason, got viral. It got the attention of the whole country. Okay, and people started to realize there are avenues that they can go to. There are Lembaga Zakat Selangor. There are places of worship which has all these food store. NGOs, started to go out, and people started to help each other out. So it's positive. I took a step back. I let one person go, but in the end, the chain reaction of it is beautiful.
Yeah.
It's positive.
So that's a great story. You've been so negative these days. I'm glad you have a positive story.
Oh, you got to be positive on every single thing, except for three things. And I kept telling people this: urine tests, HIV tests, and now COVID tests. 3 things you cannot be positive on.
That's very good. Very good. So, I mean, it's easy to get cynical when you about things, right? But as I said, you're out there, right? The police are out there. You meet people every day from all walks of life, and you say things are getting better now. But even when when things weren't so good, what was the feeling you got? Were people helpful to each other? Was there still a sense of looking after your neighbors or looking after people, or people turned very selfish?
In general, people people are good. Nations are good. I mean, I've seen on the streets people going around giving handouts to those who are in need. Probably wasn't advertised on the media and all that, but it happens. In fact, I still do it quietly. Some NGOs or whatever say, "Hey, Nick, we got some, food package or goodies to give out. Do you have anybody?" Send it to my office and dump it into the car. Call up one of the officer in charge of any balais. Anybody need anything? And of course, there are people, and it doesn't matter what religious or what religion they are, what race they are, whether they are Malaysians or non-Malaysians. They are human. They need to be fed, and I believe we cannot address our security, our national security, if there are hunger and poverty. If we can manage hunger and poverty, then our security will obviously become better. I believe in it.
That's so heartening to know, because a lot of people debate about these things, but they don't know anything. I mean, I'm so glad to talk to somebody who actually knows something firsthand about these things. So, what you said about national security and poverty. I'd like to talk a little about the crime and the causes of crime. So putting COVID aside, I mean, from pre-COVID days until now, as recovery, has crime gone up? Is there more crime in Selangor or in the country?
Well, in general, our index crime has dropped compared to last year. Because if you remember last year, there was like this really strict MCO for a couple of cases. And then everybody started to go out again in the middle of the year. And then it started to, gotta go back inside the cave again. So not much movement last year compared to this year. This year, although there were MCOs, but then there are movements. So naturally, there will be crime. And but there's in Selangor, at least index crime has dropped to 11%. But other crimes, if you go on specific murder cases, has gone up a little bit.
Sure.
Theft has gone up.
I mean, it's not about crime. I mean, the crime which concerns, well, many people I know, I'm not sure about everybody, but many people I know, is violent crime. Handbag theft, handbag snatching, which is very violent. It can cause great injury to the person with the handbag. Robbers breaking into your house. I mean, that kind of violent crime, muggings, right? Has that gone up? Is that on the rise?
It has. Theft has gone up. Theft has gone up, and break-ins has also gone up, but not to a very alarming level, because we are comparing it to last year. Right. So obviously, you see a big difference. But if we compare it to 2019, then things, it's almost the same, because we are going back to the old norm, But nevertheless, I'd like to advise everybody just to be aware of your surroundings, especially when you're walking down the street. You have to go to the ATM, coming out from the bank and all that. Be aware. And if you around your neighborhood, your houses, whatever, please get to know the local police over there, the officer in charge of a station, or Ketua Polis Balai, they call it. And also the OCPDs. Get to know them. It helps. And in every district, we do initiate all the communities. We do visits, housing areas, and to give talk, to get to know them, and all that. So that's what we're supposed to do.
Yeah, I mean, many tamans and all that have resident associations, and I guess the resident association should also make it their business to get to know the local police. What are And there are two questions really. What
maybe you should move to PJ.
PJ saver? No. I like to be optimistic. You know that you know we can live peacefully. No, but just going back to crime. You know, a lot of people like to blame foreigners. Whoever, I don't know who the foreigners are, but you know, blame foreigners. Foreigners on crime.
Okay,
foreigners. You know, I don't know. The who the foreigner is changes, but they always like to blame other people. Is it true? Is it true that we should be more afraid of, you know, non-Malaysians than Malaysians when it comes to crime?
There's no reason to be afraid of Malaysians or non-Malaysians, Malay, Indian, or Chinese, because we are all humans. Of course, there are some how do you say trends, crime that focus on these particular races or locals or non-locals. But in general, there's nothing to fear about when it comes to foreigners. Normally, what happened between them, there's a fight or a murder, it's just between them. And it's not the cause of, let's say, organized crime or some serious crime, something that really planned. It's actually because someone had a drink and somebody said something and that's it. That somebody got murdered. That's usually the case when it comes to but don't worry, Malaysia is still safe. Trust me.
I do. But you know, many people are worried about it. And of course, you know, social media makes it worse. Like anything, something bad happens, it goes viral. Good things don't go viral, bad things go viral.
This is the thing about viral cases. You know, normally viral cases, if it's not viral, like it's really straightforward case. But once you get viral, then oh my God, it's like, you know, handling 10. You know, the volume is like 10 cases because it's viral.
It's viral. Yeah.
But it's okay. We manage. We manage somehow.
I'll show you. Gosh. So okay. And do we have organized crime here? Is there are some cases, you know, for example, of violence? Is it
like any country in the world? No. When there are need for prostitutions, gambling, and you know, other vices, there will be organized crime. Organized crime is real. They are organized. Their economy sound, and I've been here for 6 months as the officer in charge of criminal investigation, and I'm picking up stuff. And our last bus was on the gambling syndicate. Dato was arrested, and currently we managed to trace up to 55 million ringgit.
My goodness.
Of properties and cash and all that. So that's going under AMLA. And of course, we have laws that are very suitable to use for this kind of organizations. We have SOSMA and also POCA. And I'm looking into every avenue to get my grasp on them.
That's great. That's great to hear.
Very challenging. Very challenging. But I'll do it.
Gosh.
Whatever it takes.
Good. That's what we need. And it's organized crime people. Do they actually specialize, or do they just do everything? I mean, drugs, gambling, prostitution. Is it all together, or
they are organized? I mean, you've seen the movies. You know?
Yeah, I mean, is it like the movies? Is it like the movies?
You know.
Yeah.
How do you think they got the idea to make that movie? It's based on real life. So if it happens there, like New York, the 5 families, how did it start? From the prohibition era, you know, selling of alcohol, and over here is the same thing. They look into you know, opportunities to make money, to spread their their organization.
Right. Right. Wow. Wow. Okay. Okay. So just going back a bit to what you were saying earlier about when people are in need, crimes happen. But is that the only reason crime is going on in Malaysia? Is poverty really the reason? Do you think there are other reasons for criminality?
For criminality, there's crime of crime of passion. Sometimes. Okay. If you notice, I don't know if you know, but I'm telling you now, domestic violence is on the rise since last year, and there's also a crime of opportunity. The usage of technology, let's say the internet. A lot of people got scammed, purchasing online or scam, Macau scam, for example. So where there's an opportunity, people will, this criminal will be attracted. So that's the psychology behind crime. Anything that could profit.
Okay. But I mean, people can be, not doing very well, but they don't all turn to crime, right? Just because you don't have money or don't have enough money doesn't make people
in general, seriously, people just do not turn to crime just because they don't have money. I've gone down the streets. I've seen people, they were trying to make ends meet. They get whatever job necessary they can get. Even the middle class, I mean, when they use their jobs, let's say, you've noticed on the internet that some pilots were laid off, or air crew were laid off and all that. And what did they do? Did they go and steal and their own organized crime? No. They started to cook. They started what was that? The famous one, a car wash, even.
Car wash,
yes. And people are looking for ways to survive, and majority of them resort to a proper way and not crime.
Okay. I mean, again, you just meet so many different types of people. Do you think there's such a thing as bad people? They're just bad. Bad people. They're just bad. They're just born bad. The kind of guy who bullies you at school, that kind of person. You're just bad. You just bite. You're jahat. Are there
Dato, you don't know me when I was in school.
Okay. Hidup abang udah baik.
Oh,
right. Okay.
Oh my God. My teachers can specify that. So anyway, I don't believe people are born bad. Everybody born good. There's always good in them. Even for criminals, there are still good in them. Maybe for some reason they are exposed, they are used to that kind of living, but they are still good in them. Since I joined the force in 2015, I make it a habit. I was in narcotics for 10 years. So every time I make a habit to visit the lockup almost every day. Okay, so during my visits, I do, have some sort of interview or chit chat, some of them, wherever necessary. So they are still human. There's still goodness in them, and that's to say that such person they're just born bad. That just doesn't make sense to me. There's always good in everybody. Right. And it's just if we can just find a button to switch, to press on, that turns that guy to be good. What a wonderful world we live in. But
I'm so glad you're this optimistic because you've seen it. You've seen it, So you think that bad people can be rehabilitated. There's hope for anyone.
There is always hope. There is always hope.
Yeah.
Even the Pharaoh towards his dying breath, if you remember.
Yeah. I know you see this. But you said some horrific things happening, right? Some horrible things.
Yeah.
People do some horrible things,
Yeah.
and if they do horrible things out of temporary, feelings is one thing. But sometimes people do horrible things just for money, right? And even people like that, there's some redeeming feature in them.
There are people like that. There are people like that. But I like to see them change before I get to
Okay. All right. Okay. But you brought up domestic violence. That was the MCO. You think the rise in domestic violence is related to the MCO? Is that because
Yes,
people were cooped up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what happens is that we've noticed that a small argument would lead to a very to a violent act. Just a small argument, like case today, this morning. There's a case where the wife didn't cook, and the husband went crazy. So there's also a case where these are the kind of things that is not easy to share, because I read this every day for the past 6 months. So. But people are stressed out, really stressed out. That's explained this violence between your house. Domestic violence consists also fights between brothers and sisters, cousins, and all that. So
yeah, and generally, I mean, it's the women are the worst off. Right?
Generally, yes.
Generally,
women and children.
Women and children are really badly affected. Right? So I mean, that's one of the costs of the MCO, which you can't count in dollar terms, but we can certainly count in human terms.
Well, we can create awareness on that. What I see is that when there's a domestic abuse, especially from the wife's side, they tend to withdraw the report most of the time. And to us, you lodge a report, we still, even if you withdraw the report, we still continue the investigation. There's no such thing. And I do advise them most of the time, but due to certain reasons, psychological reasons, family, children, and all that, sad to see these things happen.
But all these NGOs and even government departments who are supposed to help people who are victims of domestic violence. Is there enough of that? Is there enough support for victims of domestic violence?
Well, I would say there's enough support. It's just the matter of them coming strong. And most of the time, they are not. Because their abusers, abusers tend to put this thinking to their partners that the partners can never survive without the abuser. So these are the things that but we're doing our best. Our charging rate on domestic violence cases are very good. We solve most of the cases, and I urge anybody that have been a victim, lodge a report. We'll come and assist.
Great. That is very good news, because I mean, this is a problem, and I'm glad you're doing it. Okay, sorry, I still have to talk about crime. You are the officer in charge of crime, so criminal investigation. So I'm afraid that's the subject. Tony, I'm just so happy to see how, your optimistic view on humanity. The kind of horrible things you have to deal with every day, day in, day out, and the fact that you can sit here, smile, make jokes, and still tell me that there is hope is just wonderful. It's just wonderful. So, in the old days, if you want to rob someone, you got to break in their house. But now, as you said, there's Macau scams, there are all kinds of cyber crimes going on. Is that something you have to deal with a lot, and how do you deal with it?
Okay, we do have cybercrime department, and most of these cybercrime are handled by the commercial crime department. But let me just say something. Let me just touch on it. This Macau scam. The idea of Macau scam, when they call you First of all, they need to convince you that you have done something. We found your IC, you've been doing something, this is, you broke the AMLA law or whatever, they will convince you. Only you know yourself. Okay, once they convince you, the next level is to provide you a solution, which is you can pay us off and the case will go away. Get this in your head, everybody.
Okay.
Stay away from trying to bribe any of law enforcement. If you think that law enforcers can be bribed, can be bought, then you are very vulnerable to these Macau scammers. The police will never ask you for any money. If you have done something wrong, we will contact you and ask you to come to our office to record your statement. We will never ask you for your credit card numbers, bank account numbers, whatever, transfer this or that. And do not, never, ever be fooled by these scams. But unfortunately, even professional bankers scam. Unfortunate. So
no, they're very good. They're very good, and it seems to know when people have just retired and have EPF money. They're very good at targeting people with EPF money.
Even people that are 20 years away from retirement,
No.
also a victim of Macau scam.
Wow.
So just remember this: law enforcement will never ask you for your money. If they ask you, it's a scam. Refuse. If I've done something wrong, let me know your office, which balai, I'll come there, I'll give my statement. All right. And please, they will also tell you not to speak to anybody.
Yeah, very clever.
Your husbands, your wives, your son, your daughters, don't speak to anybody. If you want us to help you, don't speak to anybody. It's just between us. It's a scam.
Yes.
It's a scam.
That's true. It's true. It's true. I tell more people.
So, now that you know me, give me a call. I'll tell you it's a scam.
It's a scam. It's a scam. No, I agree. I tell people all the time it's a scam.
And the other popular scam is purchasing online. You see iPhone, the latest iPhone. I'm not sure now what iPhone is it now. iPhone 13, is it?
13, 14, yeah.
So yeah, they will advertise iPhone for the ridiculous price. You can get iPhone for 500 ringgit. If it's too good to be true, and it's not true.
It is true.
I want to say the word crap. I'm not sure.
That's right.
So, it's not true. So to me, I'm old school. I go to the store and purchase my whatever I need. I don't go online, but it's convenient to people. So yeah.
But how do you catch these people? How do you catch? I mean, you know, the cyber criminal kind of thing. How do you catch cyber criminals? Do you have a cyber department or
a cyber
we do
team? Have a cyber department. We do have some technology to trace whoever that we're doing it. There has been arrests made and all that. Most of them are smarter. They're using account news these days, but even account news would charge. Do not let people use your account, especially college students. Want to make easy money? Let people use your accounts. With you know, they pay about $100 per month or whatever. I'm not sure, but don't do it. Don't do it. You are liable. It's your account.
Yeah, of course. I mean, yeah. You see money going in and out of account. Okay, all right, okay. You know, we've got quite a lot of questions, and I'll start with one, which is the first question here. It's from someone called Marina Mahate, and the question is, how does the police prioritize what cases they pursue? For example, why go after people like Nur Sajjad when she hasn't committed any crime and there are much more serious criminals around? That's the first question. I'll give you two questions. So 3 questions, then you can answer all 3 in which order you want. Second question is anonymous. Do you think the government should increase the salary and benefits of police to reduce corruption? And the third question is, do you think that police should wear body cams? So The first question is how do you prioritize cases? Nur Sajat being an example. The second one, salaries to reduce corruption, and the third one, body cam.
Why Sajat?
No, I mean, it's just an example of how you prioritize, of when you prioritize. But
all right,
you know,
prioritize.
but Nur Sajat did come out in the New York Times today, or New York Times reported today that she was abused when she was held in custody by the religious officials. But anyway, that's a different question. That's a different subject on this one. Yeah.
All right. How do we prioritize? We go on the severity of the case. Obviously, okay, there's murder cases. Of course, it will be a first priority to solve a murder case, and then there's also petty theft. So we prioritize according to the severity of the case, and also some cases of interest that may cause like viral cases that could cause people to be uneasy, when it touches on racial issues or religious issues, because we're living in a multiracial country. So we have our way to prioritize the cases, which one to focus, and whichever one that there's no leads going on, or there's no damages done, whatever. So we keep it on KIV, whatever. Any new information that's coming in, we'll open it up again and pursue the case again. But to Madam Marina Mahdi, on Sajat cases, well, the court has issued her, warrant tangkap. So because she didn't attend the court, so who else going to serve the court? we're just doing our job. I'm if you don't agree with that, I apologize. But if we don't do our job, it's like, damn if I do, damn if I don't. All right. So what do you expect us to do? Okay. There's also other cases which we are also focusing on.
Okay. All
right. The second one, salary. Whether the increment of salary will lower down the temptation of corruption. Well, of course it does. Of course it does. If you give a proper, comfortable salary to the law enforcement, of course there will be less temptation to get engaged in corruption. But then again, there's also other factors that comes in. Eventually, it is up to the individual themselves, how you carry your life, your principles, your values. If you do not carry your principles and values, if your principles are on your economy, on your social well-being, then corruption is just there, in front of you. But if you believe in the principles to live life as a man, that has principles, that focus on good values, then come whatever amount on your table, it shouldn't be any problem. Take it away. I don't need that.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, given some of these crimes, the amount of money at stake is huge, right? No salary could ever compete with the amounts of money at stake in some of these.
And there was the third question. What was the third question again?
Body cams.
Body cam. Do policemen...
Body cam. Body cam.
Body cam.
Body camera. Body cameras. Body cameras. Yeah.
I think body cam would work very well to our police. I had a chance to spend some time in the States in 2018, 3 months over there, and the body cam actually helps the personnel on the street, actually it acts as a protector to them, because some incidents, the enforcers were engaged by locals, and the body cam acts as evidence of what actually transpired. So most of them will be saying that there's police brutality, this and that, but eventually the camera shows the opposite. So it actually helps. But then also it will keep the enforcers on the street on their toes. So once you have the body cam on, jangan mimpi lah nak balik tidur. You better be there.
That's right. That's right. But we did
because it happens overseas as well. This particular patrolman, he got body cam on.
Yeah.
He actually forgot to switch it off. He actually went home, slept, came out, sent in the camera back. He got into trouble. So whatever we are seeing here in Malaysia, other countries do something as well.
Okay, great.
That's what actually I learned when I was back in the States.
You were in the FBI, weren't you?
Yeah. They sent me to the FBI National Academy.
Wow.
Actually, the FBI NA.
Right.
NA to me is not National Academy. It's never again.
Never again.
3 months training, just like any federal agents. You get PT, 2 hours PT every day, Monday to Friday, and of course there's coursework. We were partnered with University of Virginia at the time, so we exchanged a lot of good practices and bad practices, things like common issues that we share: police brutality, SOP compliance, racial profiling, corruption, human rights, the police rights, so on and so forth. So what we're facing here in Malaysia is nothing out of the norm. It's also happening in the United States and all that. Yeah. So it was a great experience. I get to meet or network with 22 other law enforcement from around the world, 22 countries, and of course a majority from various law enforcement in the United States. See, United States, they, each state, they probably have like 3 or 4 different polices. They are not like in Malaysia. One PDRM. Yeah. In the United States, maybe you have sheriff of this county,
right?
Police department in another. So
yeah, but it's a big country, I guess. So yeah,
it's huge.
Okay, well, I'm tempted to ask you whether it's like the movies and whether you meet all these people like in the movies, but we'll
Well, I actually ran on the track. If you saw Silence of the Lamb, where there was did a morning run, I actually ran on that track.
Wow. Okay. Oh, that's a real thing. Wow. Okay.
And it was tiring.
It's tiring. Okay.
About 10 miles.
Wow, that's a long run. That's what, 16 kilometers. That's a long run. That's a long run. That's right. Okay. So we have more questions. I'm going to read out the ones where they give their names. We got even more anonymous. Okay. So from Nadia Hadi, Tuan Nik, the increasing cyber crimes against children is trending worldwide. What's your take on this? And how can adults, parents, and play a role in stopping this? So this is on cybercrime against children.
Okay.
The second one is from Ivy Josiah. A key recommendation from the 2004 Royal Commission on the PDRM was to establish the Independent Police Complaints or Misconduct Commission. And yet there appears to be a lack of political will to establish an independent commission, capital letters. Do you welcome this initiative? And do you think no police force in the world can police themselves? And the fourth question is from my board member, Dato Azizan. Is it a good career to be in the police force? And what is your aspirations as you grow up the ladder? Do you want to be the deputy IGP or IGP? So let me just repeat. Nadia's question was on cyber crimes against children, Ivy Josiah on the Independent Royal Commission, and Dato Azizan on whether you want to take your boss's job.
It's a good question. Anyway, on pedophiles, when we talk about children being exposed online, and all that, we do have a D11 department within CID. We call it D11, that specialize on domestic violence and also crime against children. So we are working with various law enforcement around the region, and also we do have UK crime agency. I think the crime agency of UK to help us out. They are based in Vietnam. So we sit down together and we actually monitor these sites, websites that has child pornography content.
Wow.
So we do go detailed to the IP address and all that, and we do go and make arrests on those downloaders and all that. So we take crime or violence against children very seriously. I have little tolerance, myself personally, little tolerance on that, because children are meant to be protected and not violated. So what parents can do is, I've came across a name of an app that could actually, you download it maybe for a price, whatever. So it can help at least to protect your PC, laptop and all that. You can use that kind of technology as well. Meanwhile, just go check their phones, check their history or where they surf and all that. Be aware of their communications online. There's no other way to do that. And keep talking to them about that. This is what I do to my son. Keep talking to him slowly, gradually about, things that he can do or not to do and all that. And how I will put him in the lockup if he does that.
Yeah, when you make that threat to your kids, that's real.
No, I mean, he's 13, so
right.
he's at that age. I mean, when we were 13, so they try to explore all things. The internet doesn't make it easier on parents. Those days we do not have the internet, but so constant communication with children, that would help. That would help.
That's great. We're talking about bad people. I don't know, kind of. These guys who do child porn probably fall in the category of just bad people.
I think there's some psychological problem.
Right. Okay.
That's pedophiles. So they need to be treated.
Okay. Independent Police Commission, Royal Commission.
Okay. On Independent Police Commission, the government decides on it. All we're asking is that be fair. Because what we do here, the police, we're trying to keep you safe. That is our vow, to keep the Malaysian people safe. And in the line of duty, of course, there are things that are going on and all that. But if this IPCMC or whatever name they're going to call it in the future or whatever, be fair to us and give us the right to defend ourselves, just like everybody else. We also human. We have feelings. We cry. We can get hurt just like anybody else. So we sleep. We get tired. We get angry. And please take that into consideration. We're just human, with a sole purpose to keep you safe at home. Okay. And third question.
Third question was what would you recommend a career in the police force, and what are your own career aspirations?
Okay, let's just put it this way. I wouldn't recommend this career to my son, just because I love it so much. It's tough. Stuff. It's challenging. It's not easy. You've got a lot of convincing to do, especially when you have your subordinates, to convince people to do things the right way according to the law. It's not easy when there are shortcuts and all that. So temptations are huge once you have power. Everybody knows that, and it takes real character to be in this line of people. You know, they say all men are created equal. I say no. All men are not created equal. Only the finest become a policeman.
Okay.
It's not easy. It's not easy.
No, I'm sure. I mean, not a job I could.
So my career aspiration. Well, I'm 5 years ago, I was just an ASP, which is equivalent to a captain. 5 years ago, and I've never seen myself having a star on my shoulder. So I do not want to think about what's coming in the future. I just hope that with this short time that I have, I can make this difference. Take PDRM towards a better future. Just like what happens in PJ, we manage, at least I can say that we managed to bridge that gap between the police and the community. And that was a great feeling. And to that, I thank you, the people of PJ, for being with us. It was very emotional when I left PJ, because I still have them.
Wow. 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 Now it's a big responsibility. You got these huge places to look after.
Yeah.
So a few more other questions. Datin Paduka Marina Mati reminds us that domestic violence is not a crime of passion. No, I don't think you said it. You don't mean it's a crime of passion. It's a crime, but not necessarily of passion. And then maybe one from Mona Lisa, who says that I saw a snatched thief in front of me. I was shocked and panicked. What should I do if I want to help the victim?
Okay, to help. This is what I advise people. When you see there's a crime that happens in front of you, call the police. Okay, unless if you are really trained, or really confident that you can help out, then help out. But at least focus on the victim. Help out the victim. All right. Do not try to engage the criminal. If you notice that most people, they get hurt when they try to do it, and but sometimes even I see that arrests made by the public, the criminal eventually were beaten up really bad.
Yeah, that kind of vigilante justice is not good. Kind of.
That's also very bad, and you can also be charged.
Yeah.
For acting that way, depending if the person is dead, then it's 302, it's murder.
Yeah, it is. And I've seen some of those videos going on, and it looks like the people who are punishing the guy are enjoying it. They're not doing it. They're just doing it for fun.
And that's when emotions starts coming in.
Yeah.
So my advice again, call the police. And if you are confident, help the victim. I mean, you have.
Right. So on that, and just on that more mundane level, what number should people call if you want to call the police?
What was that?
What telephone number should they ring if they want to call the police?
999.
999. Okay, not the local. They shouldn't call their local police station.
If you have the local police station, if you are
right,
if you are aware of the local police station, the nearest police station, that even better. But you can Google any you can Google these days.
Yeah.
But just to 999.
999 is fine. Okay. Sorry, I had a silly question. But
yeah.
Let's make sure people know that, if 999 is enough. You don't need to know the number of your local police station. Okay, we've got 5 minutes left. And just a couple of questions more I'd like to ask you before I go back to the
Sure. By the way,
which is really, the budget's coming up, right? Minister of Finance about to decide on the budget. And obviously you're not the Minister of Finance, but if you could tell the Minister of Finance how to allocate his budget for public safety, where do you think we should be spending money and spending resources? And where do you think we maybe don't have to spend so much resources? I mean, you talked about body cams. Should we, is that the best use of police budget to go and buy body cams? Or what do you think should be done?
Oh, Dato, that's a really good question, Dato. But one of the advantage of being in a uniform body is that you actually know where your grade is, whether to answer that kind of question.
Well said, well said, well said, well said.
But anyway, for your information, I know this for fact that all the directors in every department, police force, will brief the IGP on their budget, where to spend, what to improve, or training and all that, so on and so forth. So they meet regularly to discuss this, and that's how they bring up the budget to the minister.
Right, right. But okay. No, fair enough. Yeah. No, we want you to have a long and successful career in the police force. So I won't ask you questions which make it difficult. Okay, I'll just ask Amrisi one last question from here. Well, what you've answered this. There's some questions about corruption, and there's some questions also about whether if somebody's got high status, if it's a high status person, whether he gets an easy ride, where a low status person gets the whole weight of the law thrown against him. There's a perception that's happened that there are two laws, one for the rich and famous and another law for the not rich and not famous.
Well, the perception I think has increased during the MCO, where people perceive that some even I think one of the ministers were also commenting on that some people just get away with it and some don't. So the law governs everybody on the land. So there's no special right or whatever. We investigate. The police investigate. If there's a crime, if there's a complaint lodged, we will investigate. It doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter. But we will investigate, and we will submit our investigation with recommendations to the prosecutors. The prosecutors decide.
So, when you see some high status person seemingly getting away with it, it's I guess. Okay. I won't go there. Listen, Tuan Nik, it's been a wonderful 1 hour. It really has been. I've learned so much about the police force, and what strikes me really is your optimism. You have seen the worst of what human beings can do to each other, and you're sitting here and smiling and telling us, be positive and be optimistic, and that I find wonderful. So thank you. Any last messages you have for the hundreds of people who are listening?
I'd like to say thank you to all of you out there. Thank you for being with us, for trusting us still. And we could not have done the MCO thing without you. And now that we are coming towards the end of it, stay with us still. We have to be together. I mean, I always tell people that whatever that you're complaining, I take it as a feedback on how to improve our services back to you. So keep that coming. Tell us if we do something wrong, and let's work together. Stay with us. Don't put us aside. I mean, we have to work together to make sure that this country is a secure place to live. And as it is, it's beautiful. So in the end, I tell my boys, and I tell everybody, we have a choice. with everything that's going on around us, all the negativity and all that, we can choose between anger or love. We can choose between division or unity, frustration and hope, selfishness and giving, turning away or showing up. Sometimes it is hard to make this type of choices because the world today is complex. So I always tell people, choose kindness and the choice will be simple.
Choose
because
kindness.
you cannot go wrong. If you choose kindness, you make that right choice, no matter how hard it is. So stay with us. And I couldn't thank you enough. And to the people of Malaysia, I love you 3000.
I love you 3000. Okay. All right. No, just a reference. But thank you. Kindness,
Right.
kindness. Real kindness. So thank you so much, Nick. So
Thank
there
you.
we are, ladies and
Thank you,
gentlemen.
Dato.
SAC Nik Ezanee, the officer in charge of criminal investigations, Selangor. So thank you. And we'll give you a virtual ovation. Thank you. We can now switch off our things. Okay.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.